Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Raymond Yeung. Here are tonight's top stories. Carrie Lam accuses Britain of meddling in Hong Kong's judicial system. Retail sales in Hong Kong fall in February, ending 12 months of growth. And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky warns of another wave of Russian attacks. The chief executive has accused the British government of interfering with Hong Kong's judiciary. Carrie Lam also expressed disappointment over the resignation of two serving British Supreme Court judges from Hong Kong's top court. Johanna Chan reports.
Chief Executive Carrie Lam alleged that there was a political motive on the part of Britain behind the resignations of Robert Reid and Patrick Hodge as non-permanent judges of the Court of Final Appeal. She accused London of interfering in Hong Kong's judicial independence and said she was disturbed that the resignations were associated with the national security law. Lam noted that the security law is narrower in scope than that in other places and makes room for non-Chinese judges. She stressed that overseas judges are not endorsing the administration.
They are not lending us any legitimacy. Us means the administration. So to suggest on this occasion that they could no longer sit on the Court of Final Appeal because to do so would appear to endorse the administration is a very fallacious argument. And I can only draw the conclusion that there must be quite a lot of politics behind it.
Lam said she is confident that all judges in Hong Kong will continue to serve without fear or favor. The Bar Association expressed its disappointment.
We agree that the resignation will no doubt bring challenges to Hong Kong in the short run. However, we are actually confident that our Court of Final Appeal will be able to discharge their constitutional duties and to uphold the rule of law in the days to come.
The Bar Association and the Law Society had earlier conveyed their views to London over British judges in Hong Kong's highest court. Johanna Chan, HKIBC.
The first Chief Justice of the Court of Final Appeal, Andrew Lee, said it was regrettable that the two British judges have withdrawn from Hong Kong's top court. But he noted that time has moved on and circumstances changed, saying in the long term there may be fewer overseas non-permanent judges. But Lee believes it will not affect the quality of the court, saying there are many talented people in the judiciary. Carrie Lam says Hong Kong is ready to welcome the first group of passengers who will arrive tomorrow when a flight ban is lifted. She also said rapid test kits included in anti-epidemic packages could help the government assess the COVID situation in the city. Joanna Ho reports.
Chief Executive Carrie Lam says, as universal testing will not be conducted shortly, the government hopes to have a clearer picture of the COVID situation through rapid antigen test kits. The self-administered kits will be included in anti-epidemic packages that will be distributed to every household from Saturday. As of yesterday, 1.6 million packs, or 45% of the total, were made ready for delivery. Lam also said Hong Kong is fully prepared for the lifting of a flight ban from 9 countries tomorrow.
That's why an interdepartmental meeting has been held yesterday, chaired by the Chief Secretary for Administration, to make sure that we have the capacity, we have the staff, and the testing contractor will be geared up to look after the several thousand passengers arriving, and also the transportation, because we have to arrange designated transportation.
Lam expects more than 2,000 passengers to arrive on over 20 flights. Incoming flights from 8 countries, including Britain and the Philippines, were banned in January to stop imported COVID cases. Separately, Lam clarified a hospital authority statement that anti-COVID oral drugs will not be allocated to holding centers for the elderly. Following discussions with Hospital Authority Chief Executive and geriatrician Tony Ko, she said the drugs can be used in the centers to treat mild symptoms. Joanna Ho, HKIBC.
Hong Kong's daily COVID caseload has fallen for the 6th straight day. Health authorities announced 6,646 cases today. Over 3,700 were confirmed through rapid antigen tests, and the rest from nucleic acid tests. The city also logged 119 deaths. This takes the COVID death tally in the 5th wave to 7,612. The fatality rate now stands at 0.66%. Shanghai officials have apologized for the poor handling of the anti-epidemic medical emergencies during its current two-phase lockdown. This follows an outcry among netizens after an asthma sufferer died. Chloe Feng reports.
你们接一下，你们接一下会死！那人已经没呼吸心跳了，好吧？你已经没呼吸心跳了，你们快点行不行啊？
This video was recorded by a frantic woman who begged an ambulance medic in Shanghai yesterday for a defibrillator. She wanted to revive her father, who stopped breathing after suffering an asthma attack. The medic was unable to help, and the asthma sufferer died. The video unleashed outrage on mainland social media, with more than 4 million views, and intensified a debate on China's strict medical protocols. The grieving daughter asked how many more people would die because anti-COVID measures made it difficult for those with emergency needs to be treated on time. Just days earlier, a nurse in Shanghai who also suffered an asthma attack died because the emergency unit at a hospital was shut for COVID disinfection. This morning, Ma Chunlei, Secretary General of Shanghai's municipal government, admitted that hospitals were not well prepared to handle the Omicron surge. He pledged to improve emergency services. On living conditions, Ma said the city will try to stabilize prices following complaints that vegetable prices skyrocketed during the two-stage lockdown that began on Monday. A lockdown in eastern Shanghai ends tomorrow, but the western side will then begin a 5-day shutdown. Shanghai is fighting an asymptomatic COVID outbreak with 5,300 cases yesterday, slightly down from Tuesday. Across the mainland, there were 1,800 symptomatic infections, mostly in Jilin, and 350 in Shanghai. Chloe Feng, HKIBC.
Back in Hong Kong, a 12-month winning streak for the retail sector has ended, with sales in February plunging 14.6%. A series of lockdowns amid the Omicron surge and rising unemployment prompted consumers to tighten their purse strings. Joanna Ho reports.
After rising for 12 straight months, retail sales in Hong Kong fell in February as the Omicron surge and a series of lockdowns triggered less spending. Sales last month dropped 14.6% from February last year to $25.2 billion. It was the sharpest decline since July 2020. The retail sector is pessimistic, even though the first installment of a $10,000 government handout will make its way into people's pockets next month. Retail Management Association Chairwoman Annie Yao Che said the handout could spur a slight increase in purchases in personal care product outlets and convenience stores. But she expects sales in supermarkets to drop after the wave of panic buying earlier this month. Most retail outlets experienced a 2-digit percentage sales drop last month when the government further tightened COVID measures. Combined retail sales in the first 2 months this year dropped by 4.9%. Although sales of food, alcoholic drinks, and tobacco were up 6.6% in January, the total value combined with February showed a 2.5% decrease. But supermarket sales continued to grow year-on-year, rising by 8.2%. Joanna Ho, HKIBC.
Overseas, Russia claims that it has achieved its first stage objective in its war in Ukraine and is now focusing on liberating the breakaway Donbas region. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, meanwhile, warned of renewed Russian assaults. Sarah Wong reports.
Rubble and debris littered the town of Irpin as it fended off Russia's advance. Bodies in plastic bags lined the muddy road as rescuers scoured the town near the capital Kyiv for victims. Military setbacks in Irpin and other parts of Ukraine prompted Moscow to reassess its situation and a promise to scale back assaults around Kyiv. But continued shelling around the capital and Chernihiv made Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky warn of fresh attacks. He said Russian troops are amassing in the separatist region of Donbas in the east. Russia's defense ministry claimed it had achieved its first stage objective, which was to cripple Ukrainian forces in major cities. Moscow is now shifting its chief military goal to the complete liberation of Donbas, which it recognizes as independent. As a result, a temporary ceasefire was announced in the besieged southern port of Mariupol, which endured weeks of constant bombing. Efforts resumed to evacuate around 160,000 people, even as the Kremlin demanded Mariupol's complete surrender. The United Nations estimated that over 4 million people have fled Ukraine since the start of the invasion. Human Rights High Commissioner Michelle Bachelet accused the Kremlin of actions bordering on war crimes and urged it to withdraw its troops. Sarah Wong, HKIBC.
There are further signs of slowing economic growth on the mainland as two key indices fell into negative territory together for the first time in 2 years. The official Purchasing Managers Index and the Services PMI both dropped below 50 points this month. The last time that happened was at the peak of China's COVID outbreak. Since then, the economy rebounded. The new clusters in recent weeks affected activity in the services and manufacturing sectors. Now let's take a look at the markets. The Hang Seng ended today down 235 points. To the top 10 active stocks, Tencent lost $6.40. Alibaba dropped by $1.80, while JD.com lost $4. Wuxi Biologics shed $4.15, while Hong Kong Exchanges was down $4.80. To the forex trading against the Hong Kong dollar, the euro's at 8.69, pound sterling 10.27, while the Australian dollar at 5.86. And finally, in Europe, the London FTSE is currently down 12 points. Alexander Zverev's title drought continues this year. The world number 4 crashed out of the Miami Masters after a 3-set battle with Casper Ruud.
Norwegian Casper Ruud is steadily climbing up the tennis pecking order after living for a long time in the shadows of fellow next-generation stars. One of them is Alexander Zverev, who won their 2 previous meetings, but the balance of power was about to change. Ruud claimed the opening set before Zverev leveled the tie quickly. The deciding moment came in the second game of the 3rd set, which Ruud broke serve to go up by 2 games. The world number 8 never relinquished that lead, going on to beat the German 6-3, 1-6, 6-3. In the women's draw, soon-to-be world number 1 Igor Schwantek took on Petra Quintova, who recently dropped out of the top 30 for the first time in a decade. Still, the veteran had the shot-making skills to cause trouble for her opponent. But tennis is a sport of reaction speed and footwork, both signature qualities of Schwantek. The 20-year-old was dominant in her straight set victory over Quintova in 1 hour and 17 minutes. She's now 2 wins away from capturing her 3rd straight Masters title, having triumphed in Qatar and Indian Wells.
In the NBA, the Miami Heat are staying at the top of the Eastern Conference after a crucial victory over the Boston Celtics. There was a playoff atmosphere as both teams battled hard for loose balls. Marcus Smart found Jason Tatum with a behind-the-back pass, but the C's trailed 52-53 at the half. The Heat took their biggest lead of the game midway through the 3rd quarter, but the Celtics mounted a 16-0 run to go back in front. The contest went down to the wire, and a block by Max Strus led to a fast break capped off by Jimmy Butler's dunk. The Heat clinched a playoff spot with the 106-98 victory. The organizers of the Oscar Awards have launched disciplinary proceedings against actor Will Smith for smacking comedian Chris Rock on stage during the presentation ceremony earlier this week. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences described Smith's actions as deeply shocking and traumatic, and he could be expelled or suspended from the group. Smith, who picked up the Best Actor award at the event in Hollywood, was reportedly asked to leave after the slap, but refused. Meanwhile, Rock returned to the stage in Boston and was greeted with enthusiasm. Ticket prices for his live performance soared tenfold to over $400 after the Oscars saga. On to the weather now. Stay warm as tomorrow will turn cool with a few rain patches. Temperatures will range between 16 and 23 degrees. It will be rather cool over the weekend before turning fine and dry next week. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for Thursday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Raymond. Good evening.